Hello, hello. Welcome to the Mystic Path. This is going to be your full moon in Virgo. I got this new book I already mentioned on the channel around the holidays. So we're going to start reading and doing some teachings from this book just to kind of learn more about the moon and how to better harness, just like it says, right? How to better harness the energy of the mystical moon. I'm going to use cards like we always do, of course. I'm going to use my own channelings that I have gotten over the last week. There's actually going to be 2 videos. We're going to do the full moon itself, talk about that. And then there's going to be a second video, look for it, called Shadow Work and Integration. And because I feel like I've been getting so much information that needs to be channeled out, that like if I just did one video, right, it would be like an hour and a half long probably. So I'm going to split it into 2. We're going to talk about the moon, do some cards. Then the second video, we're going to talk about integration and shadow work. We'll pull a few cards on there as well. Today, we will be pulling from several decks the art oracles. That was a gift for the holidays. I've been playing around with it. Love it so far. So we'll get a little guidance from the artists, right? Then we're going to have this also new deck in regards to crystals. And then we're going to use 2 of our standards that we love, the Energy Oracle cards and Whisper of Healing. Sorry, the camera's in a different place. So I was just trying to figure out where to hold everything. And then, of course, as always, our Moonology, right? So we're going to go ahead and dive right into this. I just wanted to give a little kind of call to action. I went and gave blood today. So if I get a little spacey with my thoughts, that's why I'm still juicing up and replenishing, right? So I've noticed it's been a little challenging to get my thoughts together, and I think that's why. So please keep that in mind. Also, I kind of wanted to do a call to action. If you can go give blood or give platelets or give plasma, please go do it, and do it as regularly as you can. The sickness thing that just happened over the last couple years has really depleted the supply, and I know they're really in need of those things. My aunt is dealing with a cancer issue right now, and cancer patients need a lot of platelets, and they're just really low on blood and everything. So if you can and you're healthy, I'm asking you to please go give blood, because it does help a lot of people that need it. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. We have a full moon. I'm filming this Thursday afternoon. So by the time I upload this tomorrow, it will be the full moon, because the full moon will be happening at 3:18 a.m. Friday morning. So while I'm sleeping, at least. That's Eastern Standard Time. Obviously, it'll be different for you wherever you are in the world. It is going to be in Virgo. The full moon is going to be in Virgo. And it is the worm moon or storm moon, okay? And we're going to read a little bit in here about like why the moons have like worm moon, wolf moon, blood moon, right? They kind of go back to the indigenous people, Native Americans, and I just find it interesting and fascinating. And this particular one is called the worm moon or the storm moon, which makes a lot of sense to me, because I'm here in Florida. We've been having a ton of storms over the last week, and I mean like crazy storms. They're usually storms that are the kind of storms we get in the summer. So the fact that we're getting them now, it's kind of bringing on this, like, I feel like it all goes with this moon once I start getting into it, right? Also, the sun is in Pisces. We're in Pisces season. I know it's kind of been a rough emotional Pisces season for a lot of people. If that is you, stay strong. Release is coming, right? The energy is always changing. So, if you're struggling, something I always suggest is trying to be of service to others. Because, when you're drowning, sometimes it makes you feel really good to help others. Like I gave blood today. That made me feel really good. I feel like I'm contributing, right? I also I do a lot of donation stuff. Packing of care packages for the people in the Ukraine situation, the people in hurricane situations or tornadoes or fires or whatever it is, right? That always makes me feel good to go somewhere that's like packaging and packing up care packages and needs packages. So I just want to, if you're finding yourself drowning in your emotions and you're having trouble, that's a good way to kind of start to get yourself out of the hole so that then you can address the emotions that are making you feel that way, right? It's kind of hard when you feel overwhelmed and drowning to actually figure out, what am I feeling? Where is this coming from? Why do I feeling this way? And sometimes if you can step outside yourself, help others, get a little bit more in observer mode, then the next day, it's a lot clearer and easier to see oh, that's where those feelings came from, or though that's why I got triggered, or whatever it is, right? So, let's just, since I was just talking word moon, storm moon, we'll just talk a little bit here about what I was telling you about okay. So I'll just read here a minute. It says, Native American full moons by month. The Native Americans had different names for their full moons, depending on where they lived. Many full moons were named for the circumstances of their climate. For example, the Zuni from southwest Mexico called the full moon in January. Now I apologize if I butcher this, okay? Deyachamo Yachun, which translates to when limbs of trees are broken by snow. So that would make sense in January, right? The largest amount of snowfall usually occurs throughout the United States in the months of February. Therefore, the Algonquian tribe called February's full moon the hunger moon because food supplies were scarce at that time of year. The Wishram of Washington and Oregon called it shoulder to shoulder around the fire moon. The Kalapu, okay, and again, my apologies if I'm butchering any of these names, which I'm sure I am. The Kalapuya of the Pacific Northwest called the June moon Anishanila, meaning camas ripe. Camas is a sweet, high-protein root vegetable and food staple. The bulb was fire-baked, tasted akin to sweet potato or pumpkin. Okay, so that makes sense, right? That's when they could eat that particular fruit, and so they named the moon after it so that they would know, in June, we can eat this fruit. Okay, interesting. Very practical, right? Today, most of the names of the full moons are typically found in publications like the Farmer's Almanac come from the Algonquian tribes who lived throughout New England and the Great Lakes region. And then it goes through to list all the months of the moon. So we'll just do March. March says it's the storm moon or the worm moon, which I already said, right? And then it says, as winter gives way to a thaw, earthworms begin to break the surface in a stage of renewal and rebirth. Okay, that makes sense why they'd call it the worm moon, because they saw a lot of worms at the time. Or the storm moon, because there were a lot of storms happening, right? To bring on that spring renewal, because all those little, seedlings and flower buds and such can't grow without the water. So, anyway, all right, let's read really quickly what this book says about the full moon, right? It says, the full moon is the moon's most powerful phase. When we see her total illuminated appearance or just know it is there, this is the time of fulfillment. There is much activity around this phase, and it is a time when you should try to perfect thoughts and plans. If you are intuitive or would like to increase your intuition, your psychic abilities may surprise you under this moon. Meditating and manifesting what you want are most intriguing at this time. It's all about strength and controlling vibrations for a better outcome. All right, good. We got a long way to go, right? So we'll just dip in and out of this book as I read more and find things interesting that may apply, right? We do have our Moonology cards. We're going to read these at the end. Okay, first I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the stuff I've channeled. Is the lighting okay? Yeah, it looks like it's okay. Okay, so again, little disclaimer. Watson, our channeler and healer Cat may join us. He always gets excited when I'm doing this kind of work, and he's already been up and down on the table multiple times while I was trying to get cards out and get my thoughts together. So he may just jump up in the middle to join us because he likes to do that. Okay, so we have the sun in Pisces, the full moon in Virgo. Okay. Pisces season let's talk about Pisces season a little bit because, Pisces season tends to be a very emotional season, right? In Pisces season, the energy is really supportive, and we tend as humans to blur the lines between fantasy, imagination, and reality. Pisces in general tend to wear rose-colored glasses and not want to dive in and see the truth or the shadow of things. And in my next video, we're going to kind of talk about how one can't exist without the other, right? You can't be all light with no shadow, and you can't be all shadow with no light, period. They need each other to survive, right? There would be no shadow without the sun shining to make shadows, correct? And there would be no light if everything was just in darkness all the time. So they are symbiotic. They need each other to, exist. And we can't, it can be a very slippery slope and a dangerous trap that keeps us stuck to only focus on the positives of things or only see everything with the rose-colored tint, that everything's wonderful and I've never been happier, and that's all fine and good, but there's always some kind of shadow because nothing in this universe can exist without that, right? And especially on Earth, because Earth is a school in duality. So we will never have all humans happy, joyful, and in harmony. And then we will never have all humans in chaos, destruction, and all of that. Because you need both of those things. We wouldn't know what happiness was if we did not know sadness. We would not know peace if we did not know anger and destruction. We would not, you get where I'm going here, right? We would not know abundance without greed. Like, these things are all symbiotic. You cannot have one without the other. So I also want to mention, it's a little misguided to think that, I'm going to rid myself of my shadow. And like I said, we're going to get more into that in the next video, so be sure to watch it. But I want to stay focused on here what the Virgo moon's bringing in. But I just kind of wanted to point out, if you've been feeling in this Pisces season the last month or so, like there is a blur between your imagination and your fantasy world and what's happening really in your grounded reality, that's normal. But this Virgo full moon is coming in to put an end to all that. This is we're getting on the end of Pisces season, and this Virgo full moon is coming in to test us to see how well we can balance our fantasy imagination world with our tangible real world experience, right? So we're coming out of this like la-di-da fantasy, everything's wonderful Pisces season kind of thinking. It's time to get real. And this is the last push of Pisces season to bring us to like this culmination breaking point, so we can release the things that no longer serve us, right? This whole Pisces season has been bringing us to this point, and now this full moon energy is very supportive of kind of forcing up to the top whatever issues that you're not really dealing with, whatever shadows you're not really dealing with while you've been indulging in the fantasy imagination side of things, right? So this is kind of like that last push in Pisces season, that it's time for us to, figure out what the issues are and what we need to release, right? This Virgo full moon is going to invite us to invite us into reclaiming our power and into making small shifts in our daily routine that will add up to big change, right? So that is also something humans tend to do. Humans tend to have this like, I'm going to change everything drastically overnight, right? Like, I've known some people to do this, and I know I've probably even done it in the past, not in relation to food, but in relation to other things, right? Like, let's say we have somebody who's like, doesn't really exercise, doesn't really eat right, goes out, drinks, indulges in sugar, whatever it is, right? And these are their habits, and this is like how they've been for years. And suddenly they're like, that's it, I'm changing everything. I'm going to wake up tomorrow and I'm going to exercise every day. I'm only going to, let's just say, I'm going to be a vegan. Let's go extreme as we can. I'm going to not drink anymore. I'm going to cut out sugar, right? And then what happens is the majority of people fail because that's unrealistic, right? You're not going to be able to take all like 20 years of habits or 10 years or 5 years or whatever of habits and then suddenly overnight change all those habits and have a whole different set of habits. That's just not realistic. It's not how it works. And a lot of humans tend to do that, and that's why they're not successful. And then, then that's a whole other problem, because then if you're not successful, you start that negative self-talk maybe, and you kind of spin yourself into a downward spiral, because then it's like, well, I can't, obviously I'm never going to be healthy or eat right or whatever. And what this full moon is kind of pushing us to do is identify those changes, right? Like, we'll use this example we're using. We just identified the things. Too much sugar, too much drinking, no exercise, eating unhealthy bad food. So we'll just take those 4 things. What this full moon is doing is pushing us. Now we've identified these issues. What small shifts can we make that over time these small shifts will start to change our habits and add up to like a big change, right? Well, right away you could say, well, I'm going to cut alcohol out. And one of these was too much sugar, right? Well, there's a lot of sugar in most alcoholic drinks. So that kind of hits both of those things. So maybe that's enough for right now. I'm going to cut out alcohol, and that's going to be a baby step, and I'm going to do that for the next month. And then in a month, if I've successfully cut out alcohol, then you take it a step further. I'm going to eat more salad, okay? And then again, that doesn't mean every meal from this point forward is salad, right? Just integrate more salad into your, what did I have for lunch today? I had that hoagie sandwich that's really not great for me, but I love, but I also had a side salad. Same thing with dinner. I had this big caloric meal, but I added a salad, which is not something this person would normally do, right? So these are small little shifts. And then what ends up happening is you get to like 6 month or a year point, and you look back and you realize, oh, look at that. I have achieved 2 of my goals. I haven't drank in 6 months. I've cut out most of the sugar, and I'm on a healthier eating path. Because usually what happens is once you start introducing small bits of healthy food, you start to enjoy them, and then you introduce more and more and more, right? Maybe I'm going to have a piece of fruit today instead of a donut, whatever it is. Just make these small swaps so that you can be successful, because I know for myself, when I try to make extreme changes, it never works, number one. And number two, it makes me feel bad about myself because I usually don't succeed at the extreme change, right? So then I start feeling bad about myself because I'm like, you couldn't even do it for a week. It took me a long time to learn that lesson. About 10 years ago, I learned that lesson, and I started realizing like, oh, okay, we have to slowly do this. We have to integrate slowly. So that's what this Virgo full moon is kind of pushing us to do. It is going to remind, the energy is going to support and remind us that the most profound shifts take place when we commit to small changes in our day-to-day routine, right? Small changes here and there and there. Same thing. If you want to be more spiritual, you want to heal, whatever it is, slowly, I'm going to start meditating. And then, don't sit down the first time you try to meditate and try to do the hardest meditation for 30 minutes. You know what I mean? You just slowly start, take 5 minutes in every day to just sit and be quiet and try to quiet your mind, right? And then after a month or so, if you've mastered 5 minutes every day, then go to 10 minutes. Then maybe start reading about meditation and educating yourself and getting informed, and then you can slowly start ramping it up and getting deeper and deeper, right? The issue as humans is we tend to jump off the high board into the deep end when we don't know how to swim. That tends to be the human kind of MO. So this moon is kind of pushing us to pull out of our fantasy life and commit to small adjustments to get to where we want to be, right? Trying to think what else. Okay, yeah. So again, this moon is probably going to bring up some emotional stuff in you. And like I was just saying, this moon is pushing us to gather information and communicate. It's going to push us to find our power, find our voice, and use it, okay? And I've said this a lot on this channel. The only way out is through. You can't avoid, suppress, repress your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts. That ends up in a total breakdown disaster. And I speak from experience, right? And I also know several people in my life that have also had those breakdown moments because they were ignoring their own needs and their own emotional body, right? So the only way out of emotional overwhelm is to find your power and communicate your feelings. Okay? That's the way through, is bringing the stuff up to the top, facing it, dealing with it, talking about it with whoever it applies to, right? So this moon is really going to push us to use our head and our heart to integrate them. So they're working together in that symbiotic relationship. It's not my head's making all the decisions right now and my heart will be making them later. That's not right. Like later on, I'll use my heart when I'm feeling romantic or whatever. That's not how we should be operating through life. We should be integrating our mind and our heart and making decisions that sit well, in both of those spaces. So this moon is kind of gonna bring you clarity on where your emotional bonds are with the people in your life. This moon is gonna bring clarity on, are these bonds real or imagined? Are these feelings real or imagined with this person? And again, this moon is bringing us to our power, bringing us to our voice. It's time to communicate, right? So we're gonna read these two cards from Moonology, and then we're gonna pull a couple of other cards, because I don't want this video to be so long that, and then I'll do the second part about shadow work and integration, right? So first, let's just do the full moon. Kind of already talked about how what the full moon is for, but okay. Surrender to the divine. Okay. Full moon. The very word climax brings all sorts of ideas and images to the mind. But it is really the feeling of this card. Life is coming to a head, a point, a conclusion, or a turning point. There may be some kind of change and possibly even some sort of emotional explosion. Tune into your emotions now and see what they're telling you. They're very likely close to the surface, no matter when in the moon. They're very likely closely to the surface. Matters will soon conclude, and you'll find out whether or not your wishes are going to come true. You may need to work harder than usual to keep cool as events unfold. Okay? So that is all pretty much kind of backing up what I just channeled. I like it when that happens. It means I'm clear and I'm channeling with my ego out of the way. All right, full moon in Virgo. You are good enough. It is time to be really honest with yourself and understand what's led you to ask your question. Have you been humble to the point of being self-effacing? Humility is good, but it can go too far, and drawing this card suggests you may be underrating yourself. You don't have to be flash, just quietly certain that you are good enough. At the other end of the scale, there he is, making an appearance. Watson. All right. At the other end of the scale, you also need to honestly answer this question. Have you been too picky? The full moon and Virgo card needs some truthful answers. Once you've given them, it should be easier to see how you got where you are. Your next step should then be more obvious to you. Pay attention to the details. Hard work brings results. And here's a little note that I feel I should read. Worrying too much will attract more things to worry about. Raise your karma by doing something good for someone else. Okay, and that's what I actually was saying in the beginning of this video. We're so glad to have you, Bubba. It's not really a healing session without our healer, is it? Okay, so these cards both are in line with all of the information I channeled about this moon. And really quick, we're going to pull a card from Whispers of Healing deck to see what is it in this full moon that's going to come to the surface to be dealt with. I'm going to bless the cards, buddy. Taking up the table over here, boy. Thank you. Look at that. He's giving us... He's like, I'll go to the side table, Mom. Here. Bubba, here. Go to this spot, right here. Hey, psst, right here. You can sit right here. Or you want to go to the window? Sorry for the interruption. There's a window behind me, and it seems he's also trying to go to the window. And it's very precarious because his tail is hitting the camera, so we don't want him to bump the camera, which he might. Oh, there we go. Going to the window? Yes. You're all right. Come on. No. He's like, I don't want to go to the window. I want to hang out with you, Mom. He wants to be involved in the healing. He always does, which is all right, buddy. Come on. Okay. Sorry. Back to what we were doing. Seems like maybe that. Okay. What issue or issues may be coming to the surface to be dealt with for the viewers during this full moon? One card, please. Okay, buddy, here. Come on. Now he's like stuck in the curtain. You are something else today. Oh, there it is. Oh, breathe. So maybe this isn't what's coming up to be healed. It's just what we're going to need to do to... it's what we're going to need to do, right, buddy? To get through this full moon. Breathe. All right. So let's read it. Number 22 for those of you that are into numerology. Okay. Breathe. For anybody that gets messages from the cards, I'll hold it close. Hopefully you can see too close. Okay. When negativity surrounds you, create a space where you can take a few minutes of reprieve to regain rationality. Close your eyes and take a slow, deliberate breath. Visualize love and positive energy coming to you with each breath. Imagine you are releasing fear every time you exhale. Take a moment now to practice breathing techniques. This can help you feel replenished. Okay, let's just do that for a minute, right? With effort, try to make your breaths a little bit longer and a little bit deeper. Longer, deeper breaths have a direct effect on your nervous system. It is human to take shallow breaths when you are in tense situations, feeling how much healing you can experience by being mindful of your breathing. Mermaids and mammals in the ocean must surface to take a breath. This card comes as a perfectly timed reminder for you to stop for breath. When you learn to take long, slow, deep breaths, life takes on a new quality. You will be more able to appreciate the beauty around you. The mermaid reaches for the surface of the ocean, just as you reach to break the surface of old patterns. You can transform an aspect of your life by slowing down and breathing deeply. As you have heard this message, did you take a breath deep into your stomach and slowly release it? If not, do so now. And then we're going to pull a crystal card to see what crystal, from this deck. Okay. What crystal will help us during this full moon? This is a new deck, so it's a little stiff, so bear with me. Hi, Bob. Sweet pea. He's over here rubbing on me. Oh, you're gonna knock that off, buddy. Okay. Okay. What crystal will help us during this full moon? This tail in my face is cracking me up. One crystal, please. One crystal, one crystal. I may have to draw it just because these are so new. Oh, there it is. Is that it? No. Okay. Ah, there it is. Thank you. I was getting impatient. I should not have done, right? Precious opal. Envision the future. All right. Oh, and I opened the book right to it. That's crazy. All right. Precious opal. Were the ancient oracles always accurate? Nope. Time is fluid. Opal knows, making the prophecy business rather risky. But when the priestess of Delphi donned opals, their ability to make sense of the swirling waters of what is to come sharpened. Unlike most stones, opals know how to hold and work with water. She feels the way in which the waters of time can be channeled or dammed, creating different outcomes and new visions. Since the future is not a fixed destination, naming the pathways you might walk to get there begins to craft what comes next. Choose your road and name your path. Opal encourages. This is how the future emerges out of the swirling water of time. Ooh, that's good. That's good. So we're going to leave it there. And we're going to go on to film the second video. Please tune in to shadow work and integrating. Have a wonderful rest of your day, evening, weekend, week, whatever it is. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please like, share, and subscribe if this video has helped you. And I am grateful for you watching. Bye-bye. See you next time.